You're listening to the New World to Go podcast with your hosts, Redbyrd and BDLG.
Hello and welcome to another episode of New World to Go. I'm your host, Redbyrd, and with me is my good friend, BDLG. Bordy, how you doing tonight, brother?
Yo, I'm good, man. Little tired. Been working on a little remodel project on the house, but that's all right. Feeling good, ready to go, ready to record.
Good, dude. Good. You've been doing that for a hot minute now, man. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a big project, man.
It
Redoing
feels
the
like
whole house.
it feels like forever.
It's been a year.
I know.
November will be a year. Yeah.
I know.
But I mean, it's lots of progress has been made. You know, it's just I'm ready to be done.
Yeah, I feel that, dude. The basement was a pretty lofty project, and I was kind of halfway through, was ready to be done with it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not talking about home improvement tonight, Bordy. We're talking about New World, and we got a good show for you guys tonight. Of course, we got the company of the week this week, as well as we're going to talk a little bit about what our preference is or what our preferred method of an MMO as far as monetization and all of those fine things go. We're talking about pay to play. We're talking about subscription-based model or free to play. We're going to talk all about that coming up next. And then, as our main topic, we're going to talk about Crucible and how that studio closed down the game. They actually, spoiler alert, or most of you know, they canceled Crucible, and what that means for New World. And that's going to be a kind of interesting conversation I think me and Bordy are both going to have. So I'm looking forward to that as well. All right, Bordy. So first and foremost, there is obviously we know already that there's information out there stating that New World's going to be a buy-to-play game. You basically pay $40 or $50, depending if you want the collection, or the collector's edition, or if you want the base game. But once that is purchased, there's going to be no more, demanded or expectations as far as monetization goes. I believe they've mentioned that they are going to have a cash shop for appearance items and everything like that. But tonight, just to start off the show, we're going to talk a little bit about our history in MMOs and what method we prefer the most. So, Bordy, what are your thoughts about the buy-to-play method? I think the most popular ones that it kind of have went down this line is technically ESO is a buy-to-play game, and then Guild Wars 2. So, what is your initial or what is your thoughts on New World current monetization model at this point?
I think it's fine, man. Just as long as they don't go into pay to win. That's whenever these buy to play and free to play games can get a little bit scary. Is whenever things go into a pay to win situation. I don't think New World will do that. I think that they're smart enough to avoid that altogether. And they've stated before that it's definitely not going to be any kind of pay to win situation. But I'm okay with having a buy to play game and then having optional cosmetics in the game. I think that's fine. I think also like even ESO's model, I think is fine. I think theirs is kind of a little bit more extreme though because of the inventory situation in that game. If you don't have a sub to that game and you're trying to manage your inventory, it's atrocious. It's almost undoable, man. So basically what you get whenever you get to play the game for free, you buy the game, you play it without a subscription, and basically you're in my opinion, you can play the full game, but you don't get the full experience. It's such a pain to manage your inventory and then all the other things that come along with having like ESO Plus. So I think it's fine as long as they do it right and they just have a truly cosmetic only type of situation. I would prefer cosmetics only versus something like even like ESO, where I think ESO does a good job. I would rather not see something that gives me additional inventory space or any kind of additional benefits to playing the game at all. I would like it to see strictly cosmetic, something that just makes me look cool. I think is fine.
Yeah, to your point on ESO, that is almost like more annoying than just having like a regular sub. You know what I mean? Like it's like you say that the game doesn't have a sub, but literally the game will torment you every time you play it with inventory management and everything like that if you don't sub. So it's kind of like, you know what I mean? I know it kind of allows people to experience the game. You can play ESO pretty cheap at the baseline because I think, can't you earn, not earn, enough crowns, but you can you can pay for expansions as you see fit, right? So I could technically purchase every expansion and then not have to pay to play the game. But if you sub, then you get all of the, the extra add-ons and everything like that, as well as like the inventory management. So I honestly have to say ESO is one of my least favorite monetization models out of all MMOs, unfortunately.
I can see that.
Yeah, Guild Wars 2 I think did a pretty good job. You would buy the expansions, you'd buy the base game, and then from there, you have the game, you can play the game. There isn't, there's a lot of like cosmetics and things you can buy for your characters in between expansions and everything like that, but they don't have like the extra like crazy stuff or like a hidden sub or like a sneaky like you don't have to sub, but obviously the game is a lot less enjoyable if you don't. I don't really like those things, and Guild Wars did a good job, I think, of keeping those things out. So another one, Bordy, or more popular, I guess, more popular in the lines of like successful MMOs is a subscription-based game. So you have your Final Fantasy 14 and World of Warcraft. So you are paying for the game box price up on each expansion, as well as a $15 sub. Now, both of these games, I think, I'm not 100% sure about Final Fantasy 14, but WoW also has a cash shop. So you have the purchase price of every expansion. I think they eventually wean the previous expansion out and then have you just buy the most recent expansion. You get all the rest of the expansion, and then you buy the base game. And also a sub, Bordy. So, this is kind of expensive for people. $15 a month is more than, your Netflix or anything like that. Obviously, for people that play World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy, it's well worth the money. But as far as entry level goes, or a new player trying to get in the game, it can be sort of a barrier, huh?
Yeah, I would think so, man. But then okay, so then what's the flip side of that? You go free to play, completely free to play, something like Albion Online that goes free to play, but then whenever you buy the sub, you have additional XP, or it's fame in that game, so you get additional fame and then other benefits along with that. Would you rather see that or something like WoW?
My personal opinion is WoW. I'd rather
Okay.
have the sub and just be done with it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I'd rather just have a sub and I get everything in the game. Everybody who's experienced in the game is the same. I don't know why I feel that way, because obviously, I mean, the other games are technically that way. It's just more, it's optional, So I guess people, if you don't really care about the convenience of the sub, then you don't have to do it. But for some reason, I still, maybe it's like out of I'm just used to it, or out of habit, I guess I prefer that. But I mean, the more and more we talk about it, the more it doesn't make a lot of sense. Other than, I guess it annoys me to have to sub for, for like minor things that are just annoying versus like, okay, I have to sub to actually like play the game.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I think all those games like Albion for sure. Someone in chat said that Albion has no pay to win. I didn't mean it's pay to win. Albion's not. I don't think Albion's pay to win. It's like pay for convenience. You get an additional boost in fame and so on and so forth for subbing to the game. I think they have a pretty decent monetization model, but my preferred method above anything would be to pay, and a lot of people might disagree with this, but it would be to pay a subscription based, to pay I would even pay $20 a month, man, to be honest, is if there were no cash shop in the game, and then all of the skins and things they made available were something that I could obtain by doing a specific thing in the game to get that skin or whatever. That's my preferred method above anything, is just give me everything. Give me everything that I can do, and then if I want to have some unique item that nobody else has without me having to go buy that thing, make it available like a quest or something that I have to do within that month or whatever. And I think Albion does that once you're subbed, but again, it's an optional sub. Once you sub, then you can have those benefits, which is cool. That's fine, and then it allows people to play for free as well. But I mean, just let me sub, make your money off of my sub. I'll buy the game, make money off of my sub too, and then we're done. And then I can just get everything, right? Like that's my preferred method. I like that method better, and I think it's more stable for the company too, right?
Yeah, you make a good point, man, and I 100% agree with you. just coming from like the old school or older school MMO feel. Oftentimes back in the day, I hate to do this. I mean, I guess we are getting older, but back in the day when you got a certain item or a particular item that had a really cool appearance, you knew how people earned that. You knew what they did to get that. You knew how hard it was. Like EverQuest 2 had your class legendary quest that was super long and super time consuming and all of these things. But when someone walked in through town and had that weapon, you not only did it look amazing, it had obviously like the flavor of the class and everything like that. Just like, obviously one of the coolest weapons in the game for that class, appearance wise and obviously performance wise. But you knew that they went through a lot to get that weapon. And like to your point, you lose something when like, oh man, that guy has a super dope cloak and I know he did the raid to get that drop. Oh, but that guy's cloak is also really cool, and I know he paid $15 for that cloak. It takes something away from like your character looking cool and like appearance things, and in the perfect world, I agree with you 100%. Like I would much rather have everything in game to be earnable through the game and not have these separate like cash shop things.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would imagine that studies have been done on this stuff, probably by the big companies, and it's probably been proven that having cash shop items increases revenue by a certain percentage versus having just a sub, I'm sure. Because whenever you drop a cash shop item like a new skin or whatever, you can rotate those things in and out so often, and people are going to buy them. So I'm sure that generates more revenue than just a subscription-based game. I think what irks me the most, like I think New World's model of having a buy to play and then just a cosmetic shopping game should be fine. But as long as they don't have I don't want to see an optional sub in game that makes me sub to the game. Like, hey, you have to sub to the game to get extra inventory or something like ESO. I don't really want to see that in this game. And I hope they don't add anything like that. So we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, dude. The thing about it is like you said, there are ways to execute the cash shop. That's fine. I don't mind that at all, as long as it's done well. And that's the challenge, is doing it well. I think the pay for convenience stuff, I don't like at all. Like I'm fine with like cosmetic things. I'm fine with maybe even like pets, appearance pets, as long as they're not functional. I do not like the Black Desert Online approach to pets where like you have to have them to grind out like loot and everything like that. I think that's pretty annoying. I use the word annoying because I can't think of a better word, but I don't like that method. Like, oh, I have to have 4 pets from the pet shop or from the cash shop to even like level up effectively or get gear effectively and stuff like that. I don't really enjoy that, but yeah, I would be okay with the cash shop in New World as long as they do stick to appearance items only.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a challenge for most companies at this point.
Yeah, it does. What I really am not a huge fan of is a buy the game plus pay a sub plus have a cash shop. I don't like that, man. I think at that point it looks really, really cash grabby. There's lots of games out there that do that, and I really do not like that, man. It's like, man, you're just milking us players for everything you can get of us, instead of us just being able to pay you a subscription, play your game, and enjoy it. Like now we're just money to you at that point, which I guess is what it's for anyway. But it's like, I don't know, man. I do not enjoy that at all. Like I don't want to have to buy the game and then feel like I have to pay a sub and then feel like I have to buy stuff from the cash shop to make my character look cool because this game I'm gonna play a lot. Like I don't like having all those different methods, Just make me buy the game, make me pay a sub, and that's it, That's what I would prefer.
Yeah. I agree with you, and I think it goes a long ways, man. The approach of your appearance or feel of your customer, right? Like, do we feel like you're milking us for cash versus like, is it something that again we paid the sticker price. I paid $40 to play the game. I don't really want to feel like completely like it be necessary for me to spend more money on the game past that. If you're saying it's a buy to play model. Stick to your guns and make it truly buy to play. And appearance items are fine. And I might even, I buy them occasionally if they look cool and I think they look cool. But as long as that item is, again, something that's all they do is just appearance things that I, don't feel obligated to buy it, but if I want to and it helps support the game, I'm okay with that as long as I enjoy the game and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think with an MMO you can just go straight up buy to play though, right? Because there's ongoing maintenance fees for an MMO, unlike any other game. So you can't just
Right.
buy the game. You got to have something else to sustain your revenue, or else an MMO is not going to last 10 years like everyone wants it to last. Because that's what I want New World to last. I want New World to be around for 10 years, man. I want to play this game for 10 years, dude. I want something I can play for a very long time, and I haven't found that. I want New World to be that.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I'm willing to pay, I'm willing to support the development and support the project for something that I'm going to invest so much time into. But I just don't want it to be overwhelming, and I don't want to feel like I'm having to spend $100 a month on something.
Yeah, that's again, and I agree to your point. I want to support the game. I want the game to do well, and I think a lot of people feel the same way. If they're enjoying the game, they're going to be willing to spend their money on it. And we know as MMO connoisseurs, we want frequent updates of content. We want all of these different, we want you to be working on new expansions, server fees, all of those things. We know it costs money, and we're willing to support that as long as, again, you're willing to work with us as a community and make sure that, it doesn't feel like you just want us for our money type of thing, which is a big deal. So, all right, man. Well, that's a great, good conversation on that. Do you have anything else to add? I guess we could talk a little bit about the free-to-play model, which is fine, I think. But again, it goes back to the cash shop most of the time, and how much liberty they take with what you can buy with real money, whether it's like a leveling up or experience boosts or costumes that cause you to level faster or fish faster or all those things. That the free-to-play model for an MMO gets very, very muddy very, very quick.
It does. It really does. And I think you have to, whenever you have just a completely free-to-play model, you're not covering your expenses at all. You're dropping the game out there and you're saying, here, play this game. But then you have to provide some sort of incentive for people to want to sub. So Albion, although I don't prefer this method, I think they do a pretty decent job, because you have to provide incentive for people to sub to your game. Well, they give you a little bit of a fame boost. It's not pay to win, but they give you a little bit of a fame boost, and then they give you some extra like cosmetics you can earn by subscribing. So I think those things are okay, but they have to do something. But you can't go pay to win, and that's what people hate. That's what you can't do. That's what kills a game. So hopefully, New World won't go that way.
Yeah, I don't think they will. The thing about it is, and I think they've already kind of taken this approach with because a lot of people have pre-ordered the game already. I think that they are initially going to stick with that buy-to-play model with a cash shop. Yeah, and if they do that, I think they'll be, I think it'll be one of the more successful monetization models in an MMO. Just because, I think people don't mind buying cosmetics, and like you said, there are a lot of people out there that will support you in
give
that
me a
way.
dope costume, dude. I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm buying it.
Exactly. But as long as they come out with frequent content, and I'm fine with paying expansions too. If they want to bring out another expansion in a year and it has doubles the amount of content in the game or whatever, I'll pay another $40. That doesn't bother me. But the free-to-play model is something that, it's very difficult to do correctly, and I don't know of an MMO right now that does it very well. Can you think of one?
I think the only one Albion is
Albion does, but you almost I guess if you don't get greedy and you just are willing to grind it out, you can do it free to play. But I found myself every time I played the game, it's like, man, I should just sub because I'm losing out on experience and gold.
But that's what they want you to do.
No, I know.
That's how they make their money. So I think it works well for them.
Very true. Very, very true. All right, man. So let's get to our main topic of tonight, and that is Crucible shutting down. And the reason we're talking about this on this particular podcast about New World, because we've talked a little bit about Crucible on here before, is they're shutting down the game. If you haven't followed a lot of Crucible's life, they brought it out into early access and then actually sent it back to, because the response of the community and the reception of people that had bought it on Steam and that played the game, they sent it back into beta for more development. And so what happened was, in a short period of being in that beta phase, they decided to cancel the game here recently. And so they mentioned that some of that team now will be moving over to the New World team and help push for launch, or help, get everything ready to go for launch. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, what that means for Amazon as a the gaming studio, and what that means for New World and its future. So, Bordy, what was your first reaction on Crucible's being canceled?
A little sad, man. I'm not gonna lie, a little sad. I enjoyed Crucible. I think it obviously had some issues and it needed a lot of things done to it before it was gonna be some kind of contender in that space. So I was a little bit sad because I enjoyed the game. But then, once you really start thinking about it, it's like, man, what is Amazon really trying to do here? I think that they know they have something special in New World after the response from the preview event. A lot of people are saying that it was that the preview event was negative or whatever. I didn't see that, man. I see it from a very small group of people, and then all of the feedback I have seen has been overwhelmingly positive. And I think that the devs know and realize they have something special in this MMO. And I also think that they know that there are people that are just craving an MMO right now, man. Craving an MMO. So I think closing down Crucible, I'm not so sure that it didn't have something to do with them wanting to push forward with New World faster and more efficiently. As much as it did with Crucible not being good, right? Like, I think that Crucible had a long way to go before it was great, but I think they realized, hey, in order to compete in this space that Crucible's in, because it's much more competitive in my opinion than the MMO market right now. MMOs, there's not a new one coming out for a long time. Ashes of Creation is the next highly anticipated MMO. New World is before that, and it is highly anticipated as well. So if they are smart and they can get New World out well before Ashes, I think it's going to be incredibly successful. So I think that with all those things taken into consideration, I'm not so sure that they didn't close down Crucible specifically to allocate more resources to New World. But then, I say that, but then it's like, well, they're Amazon. They could probably just have hired more people, right? So I don't know. But maybe they had experienced devs on Crucible that they just wanted to move over. And it just, I don't know. I'm a little sad, but a little happy at the same time, because now it means maybe New World will be allocated more resources, more time, more effort. It's going to be their main focus, hopefully, and they'll get it out.
Yeah. To the point about Crucible, it does kind of suck to see them kind of cancel the project. I know there are a lot of passionate people on that team. Me and you tried the game out when it first launched. We had some fun with the game. I think one of the main things to me is they were pretty late to the party with that whole like third person MOBA type feel of games, where, you know what I mean? It didn't have the isometric view, like obviously League and all those very popular MOBAs. But there were a lot of games like Battleborn, Paragon was another one that had been out multiple years before that and did not find success or a mainstay point. I think the most successful one out of that group was it's like a Greek god themed one. Smite, yeah, Smite. Out of that group of games, it seemed like Smite was the one that was the most successful, and even then you don't really see a lot of people like hyping up Smite right now either. So the game was okay. We had some fun when we played it. It didn't last too long, and obviously you can understand why they would cancel the game at this point. To your point about possibly just wanting to move that team over to New World, that potentially might be one of the reasons, but I think it might have been a causation thing, right? Like they had to cancel Crucible because of how poorly it was accepted, and that they didn't really, I guess maybe didn't see the progress they wanted. But now they have this other game that is successful, and now they're just going to move that team over there to prevent firing people or letting people go, which I thought is cool. Crucible and New World are obviously two very different games, so who knows what the crossover is on a lot of those people, but it does seem like for the most part they are going to find them something to do over on the New World team, which is good for New World, right?
Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope so. I hope that they allocate more resources over there and they can get us a game pumped out on time.
Yeah, so that comes to the New World section of the conversation, dude. Obviously, I don't know how many people were part of the Crucible team, but all of those people now are working on New World, and I think that's great, man. I haven't heard of them hiring. I don't know how public they are about like hiring more people to ramp up for or to get more content in the game, but this is kind of the first thing I think we've heard about, like them bringing on new people to the team, right?
I think there's job postings out there somewhere on their
They're
Amazon.
not public about it. They're not like constantly advertising or anything like
No, I think
Amazon. I guess
kind of look for it. Yeah.
Ashes of Creation is very public about like, oh, we got new positions and we're hiring this many people and all this stuff. I guess New World's more shut door generally than Ashes, anyways. I think.
Yeah, I mean it's out there, but you got to go look for you.
Okay, so so publicly, it's good to see that they're bringing people on. Obviously, the Crucible team, obviously, unfortunate situation, made better through working on New World now, and it sounds like, dude, that they are pushing hard to get this thing out when they said they would, which was spring of 2021. Does this kind of improve your thoughts on the game releasing on time this time around, or what are your thoughts on adding more people to the team?
I sure hope so. It'd be a real bad look if they added a whole lot of a lot more people to the team and it still didn't release on time. So it's October. It's supposed to release in May. I mean, we're still several months out here, so I have high hopes that it's going to release, but I had high hopes that it was going to release on time the very first time too. So I don't know at this point, man. It's kind of a crapshoot. I would assume that with them adding more people, though, and with the problems they've had with the release dates in the past, and then especially now with closing down Crucible, because that's another mark against Amazon Game Studios, right? That's a failed game, a failed project. So I would assume that their pride is probably hurt a little bit, and they're wanting to bounce back from that and create a banger of a game in New World, so that then people forget about their failure at Crucible and then begin to say, okay, Amazon's a real player in this space now. Because what if Crucible fails and then New World turns around and they have to push the game back yet again, and then the game just doesn't do very well, and then New World doesn't do well? Well, then that doesn't bode very well for the Lord of the Rings MMO that's coming up. So it's like, I think they do still have a lot riding on New World.
Yeah, and that's a great point, man. The track record is obviously not very good for Amazon Gaming Studios. I know that they're all split up and they're all separate and they're all doing separate things. But as a whole, Amazon in the gaming space, as far as game production goes, it does not look great right now for them after multiple failed games, and then a game that changed its vision in a 180 fashion and then delayed a couple times. So yeah, we're here, man. We're living in it, but. I think both of us are pretty positive about the game. The preview event couldn't have went better, and that's the most recent, bit of information or at least public appearance from Amazon Gaming Studios. I thought that the preview event, was basically exactly, if not more than they had expected from it. So, going from that and building the hype train into having more people on the team now. The expectations, I think, are high, and I'd love to see him nail it, dude. Obviously, both of us are pretty well invested in the community and content and everything like that. But from just as like a fan standpoint of New World, I really hope that they can nail this and clear their name and become a player in the space of MMOs and gaming in general.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I hope that they can as well. And I guess time will tell. We'll see. And I hope that, I don't really know a lot about the Crucible team, but I hope they can bring a lot to the table and help push this thing forward, man. What if we get like an early release or something?
Dude.
What if we get like, hey, what if this could be a super positive thing and the game releases in like April instead of May, like a month early, and we get a beta in like March.
Yo. Dude, I don't think it's gonna happen. I would love to see it, but every New World content creator out there knows the struggle it's been to cover the game, obviously, with the delays and everything like that. So we would all very much appreciate that. But I just hope they put out a good quality game when that time comes, right? And maybe if they add more and more content to keep us busy for longer and longer before. They come out with the next bit of content, then I'm all for it releasing on May when they said it's going to traditionally. Knight makes a good point in chat, and I want to clear this up as far as, we're podcasters and obviously our involvement with Studio Loot, New World fans and all that. I'm not big into the is New World going to get canceled next conversation, right? I don't think there's any way right now that New World's going to be canceled, and I would wipe that out completely as far as me. Personally, I don't think the game is getting canceled at all.
I don't either, man. I don't think we're headed down that direction at all. Now, were this a few months ago before the preview event happened,
Right.
then maybe I'd be like, well, maybe so. There might be a little cause for concern because at that point in time, after the game got delayed a second time, I know we had conversations internally whenever we were, the New World fans team here. We were working on some stuff and we were really concerned because we were like, man, this game got pushed back a second time. Like, what's happening? They seem real sketchy. They've gone silent. Now they're putting out this preview event, and if the preview event would have tanked, if it would have did terrible, and they would have gotten just horrible reviews all around, and it just wouldn't have popped off like it did, then I do think that we could be potentially in a different situation. But
Right.
but right now, I think that people that think the game's going to get canceled, maybe you're jumping the gun a little bit here.
Like a lot of it.
I think so because right now the preview event went well. I mean, look at all the people that streamed it on Twitch. There were at one point in time 50,000 concurrent viewers in the preview event. Whenever I looked on Steam, that's insane, man. That's insane. And then all of the feedback and everything I've seen on Twitter has been pretty positive. The Reddits were fairly positive for Reddit, I guess, but it was. I think the overall perception and reception of the game was good, and I think that New World knows that, man. And everybody wants an MMO right now, dude. Everyone. If they drop
absolutely.
New World in May of 2021, whenever it's supposed to release, by sheer drought of new MMOs coming out, it's gonna be successful, I think, because there's nothing else out there right now.
Being first to the market is historically a very good thing, right? And they have a chance to do that with New World. So to me, I mean, we shouldn't even be thinking about the game being canceled. We should be thinking about, again, the opportunity that lies in front of them, or they should be thinking, I'm sure they are, being one of the only new MMOs slated in the next 2 or 3 years, like you mentioned. And that's, obviously there's some other players out there I don't want to that may release. I don't know what I follow Pantheon a little bit, but I still think they're a couple years out. Camelot Unchained, last time I knew, had some problems with development. So the Crowfall may launch soon. It's kind of up in the air as well. So wanted to acknowledge them as well. But again, New World is a AAA MMO, and none of those other games are. And so, they have a real opportunity in front of them, and I think that they know that. And again, to the point of the preview event, it went really, really well. I think more than we had expected, more than they had expected. And one of the problems that they have to address, I think, in this period, and I think that they're very well aware of and have made us aware that they're aware as well, is content. Like, a lot of people got to max level in a week or however, 10 days or whatever the preview event, which is cool for a preview event, right? It's cool that they got to max level and got to experience everything in the game. But when you talk about a full AAA $40, $50 box price release, that would be concerning. So it's good to see that they recognize that, and they got about a year to fix that problem. Or they're going to have about a year total to fix that problem. So
yeah, and the good thing is that they were very open about that aspect of the game. They plainly said in their post that it lacked content before the preview event ever happened. Whenever they had the second delay, they posted out there, "We lack content. We need mid to in game content because we are lacking in that area. We need it." And so they knew that, and so that that's what they're working on for sure. Hands down, that's what they're working on. So I cannot wait to get my hands back on the game. Hint, hint. It's we have something coming up in November. I would like to be a part of that. You know what I mean?
I mean,
So,
please,
yeah.
Please, Greg, anybody?
Anybody? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm ready, man. I'm ready to see what's in store for the future of this game. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we're all things aside, we love talking about New World and speculating. That's kind of what we do here on the podcast, getting information out and our opinions, obviously, through that. But generally, we're extremely hyped about the game, and we know you guys are too. So I look forward to more information, and we should hear something, like you said, soon in the next month with the November event and everything. So, yeah, dude. Well, that about does it. Last thing we want to do is, of course, our Company of the Week. And this week, it is the Death Jesters, Bordy. DJs is their little abbreviation. They are an undecided faction focused on PvP. Bordy, do you have this up? You're a better reader than me, and it's got I gotta be a little bit of a a fun little Easter egg in here, so you'll get to read this because I know you're a fan of their game.
I've seen
so.
that. That's the first thing I seen whenever I pulled
Yeah,
this up
dude.
and I
So
read it. So
take it
the
away,
Death
man.
Jesters. All right, Death Jesters. They're an old school guild from Ultima Online that go back to the 90s. That's what I'm talking about, baby. UO. Let's go. Let's go.
Well, you were like 20 back then in the 90s, or
In the 90s? Was
yeah,
I 20? Yeah,
yeah.
come on, man. Come on. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. The, the gosh dang it, man. All right. The Death Jesters, an old UO guild. Their main focus is on New World will be PvP activities. That's what I'm talking about. Open world PvP, wars, and whatever else the game brings to the table. They say that they're also going to engage in other activities in the game to ensure they explore all of the content offered, but their primary focus is going to be on PvP. They plan to keep up with the alpha and beta content and everything else before launch to ensure they're up to date on everything going on in the game. That way, whenever they jump into the game, they can have an optimized guild and ready to go. And then they say if PvP is what you enjoy, join them on their Discord and start preparing and getting ready for the launch of New World. And then I will post a link to their guild listing on New World Fans in the description of the podcast on the VOD and on all of the podcast listings. You'll see it down there in the show notes. And whenever you go there, you'll have a link to their Discord channel.
Yes, sir. And if you want to be featured if you want your company to be featured on an episode of New World to go over to New World Fans, create an account and list your company over there. We have tons of companies over there now. I lost track of the exact total, but it is well over 100, I think, at this point. So
more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was that was a very crude estimate, but yeah, so go sign up for your company. Oh my gosh, maybe 1,000. Anyways, that was really low. So yeah, go check that out, guys. Create your company over there, and you will have a chance to be featured on an episode of New World to Go and help get a little bit of hype going for your company. Start building those rosters because, dude, it's coming, man. Before we know it, we'll be playing New World again, all together, battling and murdering each other, and it'll be a great, glorious experience. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for watching. We really appreciate it over here at Studio Loot and New World to Go supporting our podcast and being part of the New World community. It's an honor to us to be part of your weekly routine. Bordy, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet?
Yeah, man, you can find me on YouTube and Twitter at the BDLG. You can find me streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/BDLG. And then you can find me creating content at newworldfans.com, which is a product of StudioLoot.com.
Yes, and I am Redbird with a Y. You can find me at Twitch and YouTube under the same name. Guys, follow the Studio Loot Twitter account. I keep saying that. That's where all the information comes through when we write a new guide about New World, when we put out a new podcast about New World, when New World puts out new news. We cover it over on that Twitter account. So go follow that as well. Thank you guys again for listening and watching and everything you do for us. It's greatly appreciated, especially in this time of delay. We're grateful to have you guys listening every week. So thank you. And we'll see you on another episode of New World to Go.